Stuart, thank you so much for being here with us. Before we start, before we continue the conversation that we've been having for the past 30 minutes, can you make us a brief background of who you are and how you got where you are?
Sure. So first of all, absolute big thank you, as I've just said in my post on that, to having the invite for this. Our meeting has come from many times where, as I say in networking to everyone, you know each other online, but you never meet. And then when you do, you can meet incredible people. So thank you so much on that for having me here with you, obviously, today. For those who don't know, maybe those who do, I still say it to you. My name is Stuart Kosters, and I am the CEO and owner of SkillServe Experience. And oh, I'm just hearing myself back, by the way. Oh, 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 there you go. Sorry, that cut out. I had two things come up. Apologies, everyone. I'm the CEO of SkillServe Experience, which is a company dedicated to making sure that students get experience in the industry, where I help network and support education in a variety of different fields. And I'm also the Global Partnerships Director for Tennis Esports as well. To kind of get to where I got to, I've gone through education. Was probably the way in which I most got spotted and made my career and legacy. I started, as anyone does, at kind of through the general process of going to college, studying something you're really passionate about, which I praise to my mum, and I say this to students all the time. Listen to people around you that really care about you, because they give you some great respect and knowledge. And she said to me, go do something you truly love. I was like, oh, okay. And at the time I was lifeguarding and I was doing things like this, and I was like, okay, I'll go do that. And when I went and did that, it changed my life, because I studied games and I always loved games. And I thought, okay, I'll go into games design, animation, things like this. And as I did that, I joined a society. And I also learned another side of a path that I really loved. And that was I run the Esports Society. And in doing so, I found a new love for a craft that I had done in the leisure industry, where I helped support events in my sports background as well. On that, I used to do events there. I've helped out like YMCA groups, and I've had like different coaching qualifications for different sports, like from tennis to football to basketball. Even though I'm a 5'4" little dude, but I still scored a good 3-pointer. And I took all of that love and passion and put it into my education, and went through the process into university and started to grow interest in esports more and more alongside my degree in games. Got my degree in games, and then I continued my love for it, but took my master's in a field that was quite new of discovering esports, what esports education could look like, events management and business in the ecosystem. And I did that. And then lo and behold, I became part of an amazing team that helped build esports, the first esports degree education in the country, which I'm very, very proud of, because we've seen so much come from lots of places now on that are offering fantastic education all around. And to just be a portion and a part of this process has been the greatest of honor of my career, along with actually being in there, which I'll touch on inside a room with the students, because it ever means so much to me. And then from there, I've been senior lecturer. I've been a undergraduate programs leader, and I've been a director in education for esports as well. And that journey then took me on to a final pathway many years later, after being in several different universities and supporting college at one point as well, to owning my own company. And working with fantastic people around the world on esports, where I help support and guide colleges, universities into their next steps for a fantastic adventure into esports education.
What an amazing introduction, I have to
Thank
say.
you. Practice.
Okay. Yeah. I did a few, like I want to touch on a few points of your introduction. Okay. The first one is how did you get to do the first esports degree in the UK? Like, how did the university believe in you? Basically, how quick can you communicate that this, was a field that was going to develop? Right.
Sure. I mean, First of all, fantastic people around you, because the credit definitely doesn't just go to me. There's an incredible team around on that. You know, at the time when I was moving up from part-time kind of lecturing and also a master's student, the incredible team around saw what I think was the main impact that I brought at the time was proof of concept. So I was running inside inside the university union, and I put together inside the society events where we had like varsities against other universities. And at the time, there's fantastic programs like NSC and Youall in the UK that run intergen tournaments online for everyone to compete in. But what we were doing, we wanted physical varsities. And that kind of grew bigger, and more people started to see it. And then from there, I guess the best thing I can say, and I give this in my advice to starting programs for any higher ups also to see from, and also the lecturers, is proof of concept is very, very powerful. When we started to do these live events, people started to see it. And then white papers on that started to get talk about oh, what's the potential concept of education coming forward, because if this is something on that where we're seeing in the background, there's lots of people doing broadcasting for esports, there's lots of people doing marketing, PR. There's also on that the people that have done the program setup, the tournament operations, runners in events, all these different people from all these different courses coming together to create something that we know as the esports events ecosystem. And it kind of proof of concept from there. And then that built trust and intrigue. And then from around that kind of built what the team formed as this is potentially something that can really give back to when we have parents coming into these events as well, because it was for a lot for the community. Would you ever consider but going into higher education before? And some people said no. But those people then, after they saw the idea of esports education, grew more confident. And as the years, I can actually vouch for this on that. Like, I've spoke to many more parents that have come back and said to me, if it wasn't for that potential intrigue where you suddenly go do something you really love and study that and learn all these different and amazing transitional skills that you can learn, and fundamental skills that can be used in many other departments, but also in the area that you love, that's where it all grew from. The intrigue, the proof of concept.
And from then to now, with what you've been part of, or looked at, like, what would you say, from your opinion, are like things to have and things to avoid in
Sure.
your esports curriculum?
Oh, that's such a good question. That's such a good question. So I think on that, the first part, I think things to avoid. I think on that, things to avoid is probably things like this, and this comes from experience and talking to many people. Is a bit of one on that to do and to don't. Don't silo yourself when trying to understand about how to grow this education out. You need to network. So that kind of a mix between do and don't. Don't silo yourself. You must network. Speak to people that are already doing this around in the ecosystem. There's fantastic educational lecturers on that, to industry people, to obviously already governing bodies that are currently teaching or are putting out education already for esports. I would highly recommend talking to them. Get some opinions in that progress to starting that process. Another one on that to make sure that you don't do is don't run before you can walk. Very much on that, I think a good business phrase, but is highly valuable inside this ecosystem. Definitely don't run before you can walk. And by that, I mean, don't think too far ahead. Think of what is in front of you right now that you need to meet as your current goals for the best of the student experience. And then afterwards, then start to think how you will progress that out. I've been a part of things on that where you've had to learn really important lessons as a new program that always comes about from everyone, inside anything from, it could be games like IT, film, music, etc. Some things are always bound on that to go wrong, or some things on that might not hit the mark straight away. But learn from from those as you go along. The good news on that for anyone coming in now is very exciting, because there has been a lot of lessons to learn throughout the time, but now we're seeing incredible case studies. So that's where, again, the networking of the things to do, make sure you're looking at these case studies, get that knowledge on that for yourself. So also, as part of to kind of don't run before you walk, maybe one more to add, is think about what maybe your USP is, as a college, a university, a school. Like, what's the thing that you most offer that you currently have there, would be one of my most powerful advice. I think don't try and be too generic about things. Students want to go in and they already have something in their mind potentially that they want to focus on, so that helps them choose where to go. And instead of being competitive with all these different places, be harmonic in the fact on that you are supporting an ecosystem where someone in one place, someone might have broadcasting in their mind and they want to go work on broadcasting in the esports ecosystem, because that really spurs them on to do that. So go there. And that's already then when you know, or somewhere might focus on business, go there. So then you're starting to weigh these things in. So don't try and be a master of all. Trying on that, have programs on that focus on your USP and what you go forward in. I think that's something that's been really valuable in feedback for all the years. Network with industry, something to do. Definitely network with industry. Like it's the future of what they're going into, and we need to hear all the opinions to gather how we can always best represent a student opportunity getting into the future programs of esports degrees or college programs. So probably a mix between some of those. There's many more, but I'm sure on that maybe I can always talk about another time.
No, but like you've mentioned already, like networking like 6 times. Okay, so like
Yes.
let's go in. Like, what's your network? What's the networking strategy that you recommend that you've done with everything you've tried, and
Sure.
because of the
Yeah.
portfolio of contacts you have? So,
Yeah, sure. I mean,
so give it away.
yeah, cool. I mean, so example, I recently took a college to Bet this last week, which is the Bet conference. And I
Mhm.
know I mentioned to you about fantastic chats there. And for everyone out there, this is how good it is. You meet incredible people that you've never met before. You also meet people that you have, but some things have happened since you last met them, and they've got new stories to tell, or they've got new activities they're involved in, or they found new research. All of these different things are so important that, just as I was speaking with Ivan 30 minutes, but over the time before, I've got things to share together here. So it's that easy. Like put yourself open to going, I'm involved in this ecosystem. I would like to learn more about this, and I can maybe share what I know in this field back to you as well. But it's such an open ecosystem if you show on that how open you are to learn. And very much in this ecosystem, I'd say have no ego. Maybe coming back to advice on that when networking, put the ego out the door if you have one on that. Absolutely go in and go in as a student of learning always, and always there to help. And just be a good person in the industry is such a good tip. I can honestly say. I know it sounds potentially cheesy, but the best life lesson is to
Mhm.
make sure you're a good person, and people will want to talk to you, and people will want to on that to support of fantastic people and good programs, and you might come out with an idea when networking that someone doesn't maybe get on board with or enjoy, but that's okay, because on that then you're learning again of what may be on that good for future use, might be not, or someone else might like it. It's how the world works. But I recently, as an example, took students to the Bet conference from a college, and I walked them around, and I got them to meet fantastic people from giving away the network. Like you kind of mentioned, like so things like go talk to computer companies on that that are supplying hardware and software to your degrees, or your college courses, or your schools, etc. Because that's an industry in which I've had graduates go and get jobs in. And they're still involved in what they love within the esports or games field, tech field, etc. Go talk to governing body groups that are around. They are constantly working very hard behind the scenes to make sure that your education is going to work the best for you, but also will lead you to a route where they're in contact with industry. So third one, also go contact industry yourself. I have spoken to so many amazing people just by putting a LinkedIn message out. It might even be how my friend on that we met at times, like it finally, right? You see each other
Yes.
in the space, right? Yeah. So I would say, don't be afraid to do that. Like you could be the next person that someone wants to talk to. You never know. And it could be someone that could also have a connection into a field that you're so incredibly powerful, excited to get into. So take that as another one. Meet people that have experience in the field, and hear all opinions. You'll hear a variety. Some you won't agree with. That's fine. Some you will. That's fine. Someone that you might go, I'm not sure, but that's fine, because in this industry we have to learn and grow, and the only way to learn these things is through the networking of the people that you talk to. So talk to experience, but then for the experienced people out there as well, I also have something that I've definitely learned. Talk to the people on that are also just coming into the field. Talk to the people that are learning and want to go forward in there. It's not a one-way street of them just talking to us. It's you talking to them, and that 100% will forever include me, because we are always all together learning, as any ecosystem does. So I would say those are my keys on that to networking: is check out physical locations where people are meeting, reach out online in the social spaces that you see, and if you see something that's really interesting that way, also ask your college or university if they already have contact, if you're in that field already, and they might know someone. You never know. And follow channels maybe that you're very passionate about.
What would you say is the best way to access those experienced people that you mentioned? In-person events, LinkedIn, okay, but like what's the strategy for them to like invest, like, an initial 20-30 minutes to see if there can be, for them to hear you out?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a very common question, because it's a good question to ask, because it's a very real question. Because I've had so many students ask that same thing, and I remember back when I was a student saying exactly the same thing. There are times I say it now, and if any industry person maybe on that would say differently, I can tell you there's always someone on that that might know someone that they don't know that they can ask, how do I get in? So that would be my first one, is know that you're not alone. Everyone in this world is always maybe looking to see if they could talk to someone that they don't maybe have a connection with, or maybe there's an apprehension, or maybe on that you're concerned, maybe I've heard like your profile is not large enough and things like this. I believe that from my experience is that when I've reached out with a humble call to action, let's say, of can I have a word, can I have a talk, you can reach to on that the people within the area and ask, and they might get back to you. The reality is, don't be off put though if they don't, because on that someone will at some point. That's why, however, I always find though physical interactions are also very powerful, because you can meet them there and then. So maybe finding connections where you go to an event and you'll meet someone that then knows someone else. And that can lead on to a bigger chain. The first piece of advice around it that I think is most important to do as a first protocol, though, is to find out who you want to talk to and why. Don't just try and talk to someone because it's like a profile interaction. No. Find out why you want to talk to them. In the education we talk about the whys and the whats so much. I feel that it leads to then the who, and then that will decide, right, that's why. And you can work towards that goal, and eventually, with that confidence that you'll build, and you will build that confidence, never be off put by the nose, you will find a network inside the social spaces that you're following, that you build you'll build within a community. That could be, say you say your mission's to go into the I don't know, let's pick someone out. I'll give a shout out, maybe, I don't know, Fnatic, let's say Fnatic, right? So a team on that massively got me into the esports side. That was the first team I ever supported. So you're eventually, you put yourself in that circle of like community people, you eventually can meet. Because here's a real story: I've known students that have then gone inside that circle and then gone to the public events that they host, which is amazing that they do this, so big shout out to them. And they go to those public events and suddenly they meet people that work there, and they chat to you. Different things like this can lead, but the first one is you got to put yourself out there, and that's very scary. But if you go in there with confidence and talk to on that people around those circles, you will find people that have that same interest, and you will find the people that you're looking for, maybe that you would like to talk to in the end, that's within industry.
Amazing. Also, Rick, so networking, what other skill would you recommend students to develop in today's market?
I would probably say on that the yeah, I've got to say probably is your own adaptive knowledge. Like you can't. I think on that, one of the most respectful things that I've found is when someone has gone out their way to understand exactly, and I can, maybe this comes back to the why again, like to understand exactly why they're pursuing the network that they are, or who they were trying to talk to, is if you've really studied your field and you're grafting in your field, and you're doing as much as you can within it, that builds respect automatically. I've had students, as an example, that I've seen go through, and there's incredible games degrees on that I've seen as well, and obviously I was part of one, and I learned from some amazing people, but when I did my time of in lesson, I took my time outside of lesson and I honed in my craft. I used that as a skill to help me develop, because someone saw how much ambition I had to get into the field I wanted to go into. So
Mhm.
I took it beyond, let's say, in a job, the 9 to 5. And this happens, everyone, by the way, if you're a student listening, very much this happens. Your work potentially past your 9 to 5 with these things, right? Like this ecosystem works differently, right? In that way, as many do. And many times I've been told not, like sometimes to even go do my here's your standard time, and I go beyond it. Why? Because I really love what I do, but I want to hone that skill, so I build that reputation, support on that, to eventually talk to someone and go, oh yeah, I really know
Mhm.
my stuff, so we can have an in-depth conversation. And I show my willingness to learn and grow more and more. So I would say maybe that particular skill has been important, is study and love your craft, and use that to support your ability to talk to people within the network, because when they hear how much you're really putting into to learning and developing yourself, they will want to talk to you even more, because you could be that next person that they want to hire, or you could be the next person that they will pass on to someone that could hire you.
Mhm. I completely agree. Like, be a life learner. That's
Oh yeah.
that's another big one. And for the people outside esports and education,
Mm.
like, what are like the biggest misconceptions that you've heard people say?
Sure. I was very transparent in my last talk, as anyone will know, and that will always be. And that's why I'm incredibly privileged to have this
Mhm.
platform to say. So the things on that I say on that will possibly surprise people, but it shouldn't, hopefully, because it's the things of why we need to listen to all opinions. Um,
Yeah.
I think on that outside opinions sometimes could be, well, it could be a cash grab, because on that it's a new and exciting degree. No, it's a new degree that will help support, or course in general, that will help
Mhm.
support someone learn for a medium that they really love, and that's a medium that they would like to get into, and that's something on that we've heard before. We have also had things on that where people are quite scared about the budget that they might need in order to activate their course. Um, that's something on that of which you need to get advice, and also why you think of your USP. You might be something, a degree that focuses on business. Now, I've been inside a business school in university before, and I've taught business students. I know the type of levels of budget that you need to make sure a business course can work. I've used gamification in business, teaching business students 4 different platforms of business principles using gamification. But the budget was set, so they understood. So I would find your
Mhm.
USP, and as a institution, find your USP, and understand what is the budget I need, and don't be afraid of that, because there's lots of places that can help you with this, and talk about it. So then, if you want to go into something more like broadcasting, think about this. Well, do you already have a TV and film, or something like that course at your center? You may not need to then suddenly put together a huge cost for an esports area for focusing on broadcasting, if you can maybe share that facility and adapt it more over time. And that's a process where you don't run, you walk. So I
Yeah.
would say things like this are very important as an examples.
I I really do agree with it, because like when people like, and I also love to hear misconceptions.
Mm,
Also, like I love to hear no's and then ask why. Because like I know for me is I did not communicate the benefit well enough, and it
yes.
happens to me a lot with parents more than students, with parents, and I love to learn about their perspective and
Yeah.
how I can improve at showing that benefit, right? Like the return on investment that we're getting on their kids' education. And in any part of like you mentioned a university, if their USP was broadcasting, okay, you go to the university, I'm like, do you want more students in your broadcasting, like in your USP? There's another set of students that you're not attracting and that you could attract. That's how you get them, and it's about how to communicate it. So
Yeah.
like I think the misconception is because we still need to, maybe not in the UK because it's very advanced in the academic space, but in some parts, some countries in Europe, I think they're communicating the benefits and learning how to be in the same frequency
Mm,
as people that can make things happen, right?
yes.
In the education space, I think we have to improve in that as well.
Yeah,
To
massively.
scale this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying maybe in the UK or you, but like I'm saying like in
The
countries like
UK.
Spain, for example. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The UK is always going to learn, adapt as everyone else is, and I think on that also, just because then you might be first into something doesn't mean that you're going to be
Mhm.
the best. There are maybe many countries on that are starting to adapt in that message that you talk about. I think the messaging is very very important, because on that something I've really learned over time as well is that what's the first thing that we really do? Well, the word is education. So what are we here to do? We're here to educate. Like without having these platforms where thank you, Ivan, you supplied an area in which we can express something things that we've learned over time and talk about it here. There may be on that people that can listen and go, I've experienced this, or there may be ones that have gone, I was wondering this, or others going, I'm not sure. Like I never really understood maybe that side of things before.
Mhm.
It's us hearing them as well as them hearing us, and through the experience and using platforms like this that lead to conquering those problems, because we're always going to continuously learn and grow over time and adapt these misconceptions potentially. And one of them on that, that's common things like is, are they going to game all the time? Are they going to be gaming all the time? Are they going to be gaming all the time? There are fantastic things that go on in the background where if they want to continue those forms of passion, they can do that. And that's what got me into the community in the first place. Like I was a gamer. But then you take it to another level. We put in the classroom, they'll learn things on that you will not believe, that I am so proud to have been a part of in my career, where you'll see someone that is incredibly shy and introverted become someone that approaches you with new innovative ideas that you never thought about before as an educator that they could do in their assignment. And I've had incredible examples of that. And then suddenly 12 weeks later, let's just take a semester in uni, 12 weeks later they do that, and you're like, wow, like that's amazing. It's giving, I see education is the word educate to parents, to people around outside of us on that don't know our medium and our platform, and our culture of esports, and expressing what it's really like inside the education medium, the goods and the bads,
Mhm.
and going, now you're not understanding a misconception, now you're understanding exactly what it's like. There are the goods, there's the bads on that, and then there's the great things that come out of it that we get in percentage, and it's learning from all of that to then keep continuously making it better and better. It's the stories, that I think that will most tell help conquer those misconceptions of the amazing things that I've been just privy to be in a room with students sharing knowledge on that, and them back to me on that, because it's a two-way thing. I just am lucky on that to have experienced the things that I know that they can benefit from my education and experience in work, and then you pass that on and you work as a team, and you see like people mold together, that in real workplace you may have ones that are more separate to others, and like you start to form groups. At the end of the assignment, they're one unified team. And I have been in a room and I've never said this actually before on a public platform, so I'm going to say it here actually because I'm really proud to say this. I have been in a room where I have generally cried with those students on how proud I am of them, and we have been united as a team because I saw what they did from the start, and I saw where they got to at the end. And so many of them have then gone on to be incredible ambassadors for education, and that's something that I think it helps those misconceptions as well. Learn about the transitional skills and the incredible things they can do inside these education when they do something they love.
By listening to you, I can tell you're also an amazing lecturer. Like when someone can explain a concept very simple and put their personal experience as an example behind that concept, with you've been done in this talk, like bam, 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 like amazing. Okay. To wrap it up, like what what is a trend that we as a community have to watch out for 2026 in the
Sure.
education and esports space?
I think more forms of education are coming out, and new education is kind of being adapted and changed into new programs. I think globally, I'm seeing educational facilities, institutions talking to each other more. So I think we're going to see a better quality start to appear over time, that we've already got. So I think we're getting better. Still hit the road bumps. Always will. Always will. And we should never say we shouldn't, because I know every degree does, or college courses. But I think we're seeing more intrigue from people getting involved to support the space from industry. I'm seeing incredible forms of industry get involved. We've had probably more guest talks from industry than we've ever had inside education. I myself on that are off to quite a few different ones myself, and I always trying to give back and give more on that to something I love. So we see that. I think we're also seeing a lot more collaboration between the industry market and education from country to country. So not just everyone working in that one country, including from industry and education. I'm seeing it abroad. And coming in, I'm seeing some fantastic things and hearing from fantastic research from places all over, from incredible professors or people that are obviously going into their PhDs or in masters groups or writing fantastic books around the esports space. So I think we're seeing more and more of that that are supporting what we all do. I think on that those are probably the main things that I'm seeing, along with my favorite one, which is we're seeing incredible people choosing to go into the field of esports, and coming out the other side and telling us incredible case studies and stories of the things they've experienced, and what it's done for them. And I guess to kind of end with on that one, it goes back to again I've been so privileged to be in a room and on networks and see most recently students that I've taught, work experience randomly, or ones that I've done stuff with, and I said I'll work with you one day, and I ended up working with them. I think it's more of that we're seeing. It's the great stories and the things that we're hearing, and then then kind of adapting that as we go on into a field in which I think on that we're all very proud, and I'm always saying on that I'm fortunate to be a part of.
If you had to like conclude or resume this phrase, the future of esports and education is
Exciting.
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 Okay.
Like you never know where it's going to go, and I always say on that the good, the bad, but we will always come out with more good than that. And it's exciting is very good, because you're always learning. and that's what I like about the word exciting.
Amazing, Stuart. Thank you so